All right. Good evening. This is Coach Scott. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight's topic is going to be working with your higher self and everything that may encompass. Um, but before we get started, if you are seeking a consultation or a coaching session, then you can be then I can be reached at www.lifeis the number 4 theliving.net. And as always, the 4 represents soul, spirit, mind, and body. All right. So, jumping right in, working with your higher self. Well, first, what is the higher self? Your higher self is your true essence, your true divine self. Your higher self, it transcends this physical reality. It's the part of us that remains connected to the divine, while we are having this physical incarnation here. It is your God self. Um, Despite what you've been told, some people coming out of some religious systems and told like how sinful they are, or they're bad. They may be thinking they're a bad person. Man, your higher self is always there. It is always loving and comforting. It is always there, and it's always gonna be by your side to the day you draw your last breath and you transition up out of this joker. It's always there. So, um, as I was saying, it's always gonna be there to provide guidance for you. When you're there and you receive flashes of insight, or when your intuition is pulling at you, man, let me tell you something. Stop what you're doing and honor it. Honor honor the message your higher self is trying to give to you. Just honor that. Just stop what you're doing and honor that message. Um, Despite any feelings of fear or doubt that may arise, just stop what you're doing, man. Um, because that's a part of the process of you trusting your higher self, which is your God self, trusting it and building that relationship with it. And that's what it comes down to. It's going to come down to trust. Well, the only way uh, you have any type of trust when it comes to a relationship, man, you gotta put time in it. And shoot, you sit there and you ask questions, and you get the answers. And it's like, okay, my higher self is working with me. Prayers are getting answered, or you're getting deeper and deeper revelations more about yourself. And that sometimes, when it comes to me working with my higher self, uh, sometimes I don't even ask. Like, man, I could just be riding along and I'll get something, man. And man, sometimes I'll, if I'm driving, man, I'll start looking for a park or something, or I'll just look for an exit. I'm gonna pull off the highway or something like that, and I'll just sit there, man. And sometimes if I try to keep a pad with me, a pad, a pencil, man, and I'll just start writing what I'm getting. And like I said, sometimes I don't even ask. I'll get information from my higher self, and 9 times out of 10, uh, down the road, I see like, oh, okay, that's why I got that. So your higher self, man, it's always gonna love you, it's always gonna protect you, and it's always gonna guide you. The thing that makes that hard, the thing that makes that hard is social programming, your upbringing, and limiting beliefs. That is what makes that hard. Your higher self has to sometime, fight through that programming, man, just to get you a message sometime. And sometimes, man, the message might come through a stranger. And a lot of times when you're clear, like your thinking is actually clear, and you look back and you're like, wait a minute, oh man, okay. My higher self orchestrated that, like to get that message to me. And that's usually when you're starting to see like, okay, man, like, all right, this is not as hard as I think it is, or as hard, Well, life is not as hard as I have been made to believe it is. You know, the social programming, man, schooling, uh, teachers, even teachers, counselors, even our parents. You know, that's a part of that. You know, sometimes our the closest people to us pass on the limiting beliefs to us. So sometimes you have to go back. Not sometimes you have to go back and you have to go back and evaluate that. That's like really important, and that's a very important part of your spiritual growth is evaluating. You know, you sitting there, you're like, okay, all right, this particular way of viewing this particular thought pattern I have, this does not serve me. This does not serve me. Man, it was like a few weeks ago, man. I was sitting in my altar, and there were some things that I just hadn't let go of, like things from the past, man. And I just, in that moment, I sat there and I felt this tremendous amount of anger just rise up out of me. And I was like, whoa. I sat there for a second, like, okay. I was like, all right, man. Because I say true self, I say higher self, interchangeably. But I was just like, all right, man, I gotta get past this. Like, I had to actually sit in that anger and work with it. Like, all right, like, okay, let me examine this, man. Like, let me look at this. And that was a realization. It was just like, okay, you got to get past this. How, and I'm asking my higher self, like, okay, how do I get past this? My higher self started showing me different examples. Like, all right, this is why you feeling this way. This is connected to this. This came from that. And I'm just like, oh. Now, I wasn't upset about it, but sometimes, in your walk, you think you're past certain things, and I wasn't past it. I was just like, man, and I got a little frustrated about it. I got a little down about it, but now I was like, all right, nah. I say it was good that I saw it, so that was good for me that I was able to see that. As I was saying, once you begin to process the social programming that's come about, your upbringing, the limiting beliefs you had, man, once you start to sit there and dissect that and get through it, as I was saying, your walk throughout life in this world, man, it gets less scary. Because a lot of those fears, they come from that. Now, instead of walking in fear, you begin to walk in, as I like to say, certainty. Like, you certain, like, this is going to work out for you. Like, you are certain of that. And there's no fear, man. You're getting the guidance and your answers from your higher self. Man, it's sometimes I could be, I'll be so engaged in a conversation with my higher self, man. Like, I've been at the park, like walking through the park, or sometimes I go to the park to meditate, man, and I'm in a full blown conversation. And sometimes I'd be like, oh man, all right. Because I'm that comfortable with my higher self. So I'm like, all right. Sometimes you don't want nobody to think you nuts out there in the park or something like that, but I do that, man. I'm rolling with it. Like, nah. So I do have my moments. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Okay, now we good. But when you start getting those answers and that guidance on a regular basis, man, that relationship is strengthening. You're merging more and more with it. And the guidance comes in the form of dreams, strangers, synchronicities, like number sequences, like 333, 222, 1010, 1212. And like I said, a lot of times you gotta, you pay attention to your surrounding, like, what your higher self is trying to show you. Don't just be walking around aimlessly, man. Like, you engage in your higher self to get that information. And it's like, well, hey, man, you asked for this, I'm gonna give it to you. So, another thing, as you continue to work with your higher self, as this process continues to happen, certain relationships that you've had with others, they may change or they may cease to exist. They may cease to exist, man. Because at some point, those relationships, they may not serve your highest good no more. It just might not. Um, and a lot of times, your growth, your growth with your higher self and merging with it, your higher self is going to attract the people to you to help you continue on this path. And like I said, those old relationships, those old people, they fall off. Now, does that mean that those people are bad? No. It just means that you are aligning yourself with others who are reflective of your growth. That's all it means. It's not that those people are bad. You're growing. You're continuing to grow. And a lot of times, you might have certain relationships, man. A person may come in, help you out, help you get past a certain area for a little bit, or you help them out, and that's it. You keep moving. That's it. Also, during this process, there may be some uncomfortable things that come up about you, and like some things you hadn't realized about yourself. And man, usually, people get down, they get frustrated, they beat themselves up, but be thankful that your higher self brought it up. Be thankful for that. Like your higher self actually took the time, hey, okay, it's showing you like, hey, this is something you need to work on. Or there might be some feelings and emotions there that you're not realizing that are there. And at the end of the day, man, you can point the finger and say it's somebody else. You can do that. Like, okay, well, I had these feelings or I felt this way because of this person. But look at how you was moving. Like, what was going on, how you felt about it. Just look at it. Take responsibility for it. Look at yourself. Now, during this process, man, you got to remember to be gentle with yourself. Your higher self is being gentle to you by showing you what's wrong. So don't beat yourself up. Now, as you are working and merging with your higher self, there is another character that will show up, and it is called the ego. And man, let me tell you, that battle always takes place in the mind. That's where that battle is going to be at. Your ego, man, your ego wants you to learn lessons the hard way. It wants to see you suffer. It wants to see you in pain. That's what it wants. It'd rather see you suffer and take the lesson the hard way than your higher self giving you the lesson in a loving and giving way. Now, the ego is representational of the consciousness of the demiurge, which is a force frequency that presides over this physical reality. That's what that is. If you're not familiar with the Gnostic text, I would definitely say get the Gnostic books. Well, some people call it the Gnostic Bible, but definitely look up the Gnostic text online, and it tells you about the demiurge. The demiurge is over this physical creation. It does not want you waking up. It does not want you to tune into your God self. It would rather you stay here and be a part of this physical reality and not wake up to your true potential. It needs your energy. It needs people to stay asleep. It needs people to be miserable. It operates in that energy. But your higher self, you are the God self. You are God. That's who you are. But like I said, that consciousness, that part of your consciousness is called the ego. That's where that comes from. It comes from the demiurge. Another name for him is Yaldabaoth, Saklas, which means the blind god. He is the god of this physical reality, and he does not want you waking up. A good example of how that would operate, I would definitely say check out The Matrix, all of them. The one scene, I think it's in not think it's in part two, when Neo is talking to the architect, and the architect is representational of the demiurge. He controlled the matrix, the physical reality. And if you watch the interaction through the conversation, he had spent so much time of doing things to set Neo up in his life to have these little trips and pitfalls so Neo wouldn't wake up. So I would definitely say check out that, but definitely get the Gnostic text. Yeah. But like I said, when you are working, emerging with your higher self, that joke is gonna come up. That ego will come up, man. It's coming there. I can tell you that right now. It's coming. You might as well prepare yourself for it, because it does not want you to wake up, man. It'll even have certain people come your way to get you to trip up, and this is just real. But if you diligent, your higher self is gonna step forth, and it'll be fighting your battles for you. And you merging with it, you will notice you fighting. But yeah. Yep. But as I said, it's a transition. It's a part of the journey. It's not for you to beat yourself up. 'Cause your higher self is always going to come to you in a loving and protective manner. That's what it does. It's your God self. It is going to protect you. And over time, it'll reveal more information to you about yourself. I mean, you begin to see revelations of your past life, certain things you might have had hunches about, like, man, and then your higher self brings it to you, like, oh, okay, that's why I had that, or I had these dreams about this. So, like, the ones that I can recall, some of my past lives. I had several past lives as a warrior, and man, oh man, and I had a few situations. I was visiting a cousin of mine, and she was having like some strange stuff happening in her house, man. And I had gone to see her for a weekend, and I went down to the Carolinas to visit her, man. And man, it was wild. She said she would. It was almost like people were running past her door at night. But she said, sometimes she'd stay up, she'd see forms, but nobody was there. And man, I came down, man, and stayed the night. And man, oh my gosh, it was like these it was like these, say about two or three forms that had come into her place, man. And man, it was literally like how you can be asleep, and it was like I just popped up off the couch. But it was like my higher self was like took full control, man. And man, I went into straight warrior mode. I'm talking about just straight. I had like this sword that appeared, man. I'm in there slicing these jokers up, man. And they like completely rolled up out of there. I mean, well, if you want to call it roll, I know they was gone after that battle happened. But I was there at her place for like 2 more days, man. And she even told me, she said, man, cuz this is the most peaceful this place has been since I moved here. And I was like, wow. And I told her the experience that I had, when I seen those forms roll up in her place. I was just like, man, but those recollections of a warrior from my past lives, anything you have done in a past life and you've invested in on that side, or for the good or the bad, you bring it with you. But that warrior side was with me, man. I was like, dang. But hey, my higher self took over, and it was like boom. Man, it was another time. I was somewhere in some plane I was on, man, and these jokers rolled up on me, man. and it happened so fast. Like I didn't realize where I was at, but when it did happen, it was like I immediately hit a mudra with my hand, man. When I hit that mudra, man, these jokers just like they got knocked away from me, like boom, like instant, like. And I knew my higher self was like, I'd even told my higher self before I started getting in the habit of telling my higher self, like, hey man, all right, I'm laying when I go to sleep, like, hey, wherever I'm at, I need to be conscious, because sometimes you wake up. I don't know if you get to the point where you're just there. Then I've had other instances where I'm actually like waking up in a dream, and I thought that was pretty wild. But yeah, so but um, continue to merge and work with your higher self, and make it show your higher self that you're serious. Get a pen, get a pad. When you go to bed at night, say, higher self, speak to me in my dreams. And a lot of things you'll get from your higher self, it'll give you. I've always gotten a lot of symbolic images. Uh, a lot of time I'll get the like animals, or sometimes I've even seen like Hebrew lettering sometimes in my dreams, and then I go and start researching to see what that was, or certain spiritual symbols. I've seen that. So yeah, yep. But your higher self is going to communicate with you, but it's up to you to how serious you take the relationship with your higher self. So yeah. But anyway, this is Coach Scott, and thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to smash the like button, and I'll be getting back with you again. All right. Take care. Peace.